Hey boys and girls, I'm Bill and I'm a wildlife carer and an artist, and today we're going to be doing some painting.
G'day, I'm Jen and I'm also a wildlife carer and an artist, and we're going to tell you some things about wombats using these two guys.
Today we're doing a painting of a wombat. Here's my cute little model wombat, and it's only a toy, but it will give us an idea on how these guys function. Now, here we have 5 claws at the front, and they are used for scratching, and where they scratch with their front paws is usually here like this. They scratch like that. In their back claws they have 4 claws, and this one in here is usually 2 claws together. We call that a synductal claw. That's 2 bones running through one piece of flesh. That's used as a comb, and with that they scratch here, but they can also scratch right there, round their eye, round their face with their back paw. There's only one spot they can't really get, and there's a spot right here which is really hard for a wombat to get, and this is the painting we're doing today, because wombats, what they do is that they back up to a tree or a branch and they give themselves a nice bottom scratch. Oh, scratch that backside, give it a good scratch. And of course what they really like to use these claws are for digging burrows, and I think I want to get into some painting, so I'm going to swap with Jen now. There you go.
Okay, wombats dig burrows for protection against extreme temperatures and also against predators. They use their sharp claws and their tough skin under their pads under their feet for digging through hard Australian soil. They also have resting chambers inside the burrows for protection as well, for when they're resting in the day after a busy night of doing what wombats do best. Now, it takes a lot of experience for wombats to dig a good burrow. Young wombats will just start digging straight away on the ground, and they'll find that if they dig a burrow straight down, the next rainfall they'll get wet, they'll come out and shake themselves off. Oh, that wasn't very good. But older, more experienced wombats know to build their burrows into the side of sloping hillsides. So they'll start to dig in, and what they'll do is they'll start digging, and if the soil's really compacted down hard, they won't try, they'll try another spot. So they're looking for weaknesses in the soil. They'll keep digging and they'll find a spot where the soil starts to give, they'll keep going in. They'll keep digging in like this with their claws really fast. They get quite frantic. And if they come across any roots that are growing down from the trees above, they'll just chew through that, no problem. Anyone that has cared for wombats before know that wombats can chew through anything, even a wooden door. So she keeps going. If she comes across a bit of grass, that's no problem, bit of energy, she'll just eat that, and she'll keep going. Then when a mound of dirt is building up here, after she's digging like that, then she'll get her back legs and kick it out like that. So you wouldn't want to be standing behind, so you'll get a face full of dirt. So they'll kick it all out, then they'll get back to it again and keep digging until they've made a good burrow. Once they've burrowed into the side of a hill, there'll be a chamber, and it'll go up a little bit from the entrance, so if the rain comes down, a little bit of water will go into the opening, but they'll be cosy and up high in their resting chamber. Okay, while on the subject of wombats chewing through roots, I'm going to pass you over to Bill now, and he can tell you more about what they eat, and I'll have a bit more of a paint. Oh, Bill, what? It's all dripping. Come and give it to me, I'll fix it.
Alright, there you go.
Make him all fluffy and cute.
Alright then. Okay, what wombats eat? Well, almost any sort of vegetation these guys have a go at. They've got teeth like beaver. They've got 2 teeth at the top, 2 teeth at the bottom that come together like that, sort of like rabbit's teeth. And they're also, their teeth are always constantly growing, so they've got to grind it down on something. It'd be really handy. You'd never have to go to the dentist because they just basically grow out eventually. The other interesting thing about wombats is, because their burrows are nice and deep, they can sometimes survive a forest fire. And what happens is all the other animals have cleared out, and within days fresh shoots start coming up out of the ground, and these guys can take advantage of that. Also, if there's no fresh shoots coming up straight away, they just dig a little bit and they dig up the roots, they eat the roots. Soon they've got a fresh new crop of grass and ferns just for themselves to eat. Their favourite food is grass. They also eat ferns and mosses, and you'll sort of see this in their poo. But grass is their #1 favourite food, especially this European grass that has been brought here by white guys. The European grass is just really fresh and juicy, and these guys just bliss out on it. They just love it so much. And because these guys love to eat grass, I mean, like they're sort of sitting out in the field and munching away on the grass, they just, you know, they look like a nice big meal for something. You think of kangaroos and wallabies, they're all slim, slender, sleek speed machines, and this guy is a big sack of meat with short legs. If I was a hungry predator, I think, you know, if I didn't know any better, I'd go for this guy. And it's probably what young Tasmanian devils do too. That young Tasmanian devil would come out on the field, look around, see what looks like a really yummy meal. They do love eating wombat. And all this guy's mates are all just going to disappear really fast. You'll just hear this thump, thump, thump. He's got his face down the grass eating. And, you know, there's thump, 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 thump. He looks up. All his mates are gone. All the kangaroos, the wallabies, everyone's gone. If he looks around, you might see a Tasmanian devil running towards him. At this stage, what a wombat does is he looks at the grass, which is the nicest thing he's ever tasted, and he looks at the danger coming, and he decides to eat faster. Oh no! Munching away, fast as he can, looks up again, the devil's a bit closer, munches faster, looks up again, devil's a little bit closer, he munches a bit quicker, and then, just as the devil's running in, they can hit speeds of about 35 kilometres an hour, some of the young ones. The wombat takes off at 40 kilometres an hour. Boom, he'd have to slow down, the school zone, he moves so fast. Devils can run pretty fast, but these guys can run 40 kilometres an hour, but only over a short distance. They only need to run over a short distance because very close by they've got their burrow. This represents our burrow. He just scoots straight in there like this. So the wombat gets there, scrunches up like this. In here is two bones coming together, covered in cartilage, forming a big shield underneath that fur. And then what happens is the wombat makes a noise. It goes brrrr. The devil goes, my mum growls louder than that, and goes in for a nibble. And that's when the whole body flattens out and it goes bam, 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 series of uppercuts underneath the chin, giving that devil a real headache. And the wombat's safe.
Okay, now he's wandering off feeling a little bit battered around the head, but with dogs and foxes they've got a more delicate skull and they've often been found killed in wombat burrows, but these guys have got tough skulls and shoulders, and so he just wanders off with a bit of a headache to try another day. Wombats are marsupials, which means they have a pouch on their abdomen where they raise their young. They are pregnant for about 30 days, which isn't very long for the developing fetus to form. So it's born very underdeveloped. It's about the size of a little pink jelly bean, and I have something similar right here. It's about this size, and when it's born it comes out of the birth canal here, and it's believed that the mother wombat sits on her bottom like this, looks down and licks her fur just here to help the baby find its way into the pouch. So it comes out, crawls up here on the abdomen, and it goes inside the pouch, where it will attach onto one of two nipples inside the pouch. In there, all cosy and safe. Rarely they'll have twins, but mostly it's just one baby inside the pouch. Now as the baby grows inside the pouch extends forward towards the front of the wombat. So that results in the opening of the pouch facing backwards. Now that's very handy when wombats are digging and the dirt's going out the back. It's not going to go into the pouch, it's going to be flying out the back away from the baby. So it'll be safe and clean and dry inside the pouch. After about 3 months it'll start to poke its head out to have a look around. Now, because the pouch is facing backwards, that means that the little face is going to come out here and nibble some grass, while mum's up this end nibbling some grass as well. So you can imagine how confusing it would have been to the early settlers that didn't understand about marsupials, seeing mum's head up here feeding and a little baby poking out the back feeding at the same time. They had a lot to learn back then about marsupials. Okay, so this is a wombat mum, but I'm going to pass you over to another wombat mum. Bill has raised many wombats and he knows a lot about their care, and he'll tell you a bit about that. Here, Bill.
Okay. Yeah, I've been a wombat mum for about 12 times now, and what happens is these poor guys, they're on the road, a car comes, they can't get out of the way quick enough, they sometimes put their plate up to the car and bam, mum dies, but because that's nice and armoured there, in here, baby's often still alive. And if it's a little bit bigger than one we saw, there's a good chance we can bottle feed it and basically be a mum for a little while, until it goes back into the wild. Now, inside the pouch here are 2 nipples, and a baby marsupial will get about 1 drop of milk every 10 to 15 minutes. Now the worrying thing is that when you first get a baby marsupial, you've got to try and reproduce what mum does. That's every 15 minutes around the clock, 24/7, and that can really run you ragged. So first of all, let's just start feeding him as much as I can. Give him a little bottle, just like a baby, and as it gets a bit stronger, you can span those feeds out. So I don't get much sleep for the first couple of days, a few nights, but instead of 15 minutes, we'll go to half an hour, and then be hourly feeds, and then 2 hourly feeds, 3 hourly feeds, until I can get a little bit of sleep at last. And if the wombat's doing well, if I'm lucky, I might get away with 5-6 feeds a day. But if not, I have to revert back to doing those half-hourly feeds. There comes a time, probably when they're a little bit smaller than this, where they are what you'd probably call the perfect pet or the perfect toy. They're like a real teddy bear, and if they're a girl like this one, they're even toilet trained. You imagine that, you go to bed, this little guy crawls in next to you, has a cuddle, and when it comes to poo-poo time, it sneaks out of the bed, goes into the corner where you got some newspaper, does its droppings there, and then climbs back in bed for a cuddle. Isn't that just the perfect teddy bear? Because inside the burrow, she'd be sleeping with mum, so they sleep with me. Why are they so well toilet trained? Well, girls admittedly are better toilet trained than boys. But what's going on here? You got a small animal like this, well, that's a good meal for any predator. And it doesn't want to advertise where it is, so it's going to run and hide its droppings. So if you can put a hidey spot in your house for this guy to do its poos in, that's where the poo's going to go. As they get bigger, it's different. So for a short time they are the perfect pet. Then they turn out to be the pet from hell. You got this large animal which is digging holes through the floor, the walls, the doors. The droppings that it used to hide now gets put on top of the couch, on top of the bed, sometimes right in the middle of the hallway. You get up in the middle of the night, you feel things squished between your toes. It's a bad thing having a big wombat in your house. It destroys the house, it mows the carpet, and it knocks down the kids. All of a sudden people don't want this as a pet anymore and they kick it out. And unfortunately I see a lot of this where there's poor skinny wombats out in the wild and they come up, looking for some help because somebody's thought, yeah, it's a good pet. They haven't really thought about the welfare of the animal. To think about the welfare of the animal, once you start hand raising a marsupial, you got to think straight away, what's the release plan? How are we going to get this guy back out in the wild where it belongs? So that's what we tend to do. We think, release plan. The best way, the way I've found is I've been lucky enough to live near bush, and when the wombat gets big enough it just moves on. But it does it slowly. First wombat I ever had, I had it for a little while and it went away for a week. And I was panicking. And then it came back. I thought, oh, that's alright, Then it went away for 2 weeks. I thought, oh no. And then it came, and I sort of got used to this going away for longer periods every time. One time it went away for about 3 months and I thought, well, that's it. She's gone. I'll never see her again. and then it rained really heavy. I had a hole on the side of the house which was patched up. About 3 o'clock in the morning I heard that patchwork getting smashed in. Muddy footprints down the hallway. Big wombat about this big climbs into my bed and gives me a great big muddy cuddle. You know what? I loved it because I missed her. So I had a nice big muddy cuddle, and then after that she went and she learnt how to build her burrow properly, because they usually dig straight down, but what they've got to learn to do, because that fills up with water, is dig down, then dig up a bit, and then dig across, and then that's the perfect wombat burrow. They learn pretty fast. Once they've learnt that, I don't usually see them again. And the first wombat I released, I saw it one day. I was walking along sort of in the paddock next to the bush, and there she was. I hadn't seen her for a few months. She looked at me. I knew who it was. You recognised their face. She looked at me. She ran the other direction. That's a success story. She's frightened of me. She's going to be frightened of any human, and that's what we want. Great thing about wombats, solitary animal. They live solitary, which means they are easy to release back into the wild. These guys really put out lots and lots of poo.
Speaking of poo, I'll tell you a bit more about it.
Oh, okay.
There you are, Bill. Yes, these guys can be poo machines. They do between 80 and 100 droppings a night. Come on, anyone that's interested in animals is interested in poo. It can tell us so much about the animal, but it can tell other animals so much more about other wombats in the area. Wombats like to display their poo. What they'll do is they'll put their droppings high up on something like a log here to tell other wombats they are in the area. It tells the others whether they're male or female, what they've been eating, how old they are. It's sort of like their notice board to other wombats. So what they'll do is they'll come along, find a little bit of a log that's a bit high like this, and they'll do their dropping. Got one here, it's a stone but it looks just like a wombat dropping, and they'll place it high up like that, and then they'll keep going for the other wombats to see. Now why doesn't that roll off? Any other droppings would roll off, but wombat droppings don't, and they are slightly square to keep them high up. If there's something new in the area, like a mushroom has come up overnight, or some campers have left some things laying around, wombats will come along and do their droppings on that too, just to say this is my range.
So that's the beautiful wombat for you. They are gorgeous creatures, and it's just so wonderful to see them out in the wild. That's the best place to see them. If you can't see them out in the wild, of course you can go along to a wildlife park or sanctuary. Best place I think in the world to see wombats is a place called Narantapoo National Park. And I've never been there and not seen a wombat. But it's a sunny day today. If it's a bit overcast, you see stacks of wombats. No matter what time of year it is, overcast, you see lots of wombats. Summertime, in the middle of the day in Tasmania, it's a little bit like, you know, Australia. It's a bit hot. And that's when they tend to be more nocturnal. So then you'd have to sort of wait until early in the morning or in the evening to see your wombats. You'll see plenty of other marsupials as well. And there's a wombat scratching its backside. Done.